This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
PTB Wrestling Network family, what's up? Is it warm where you are? I guess 47 degrees here is like 90 compared to what I've dealt with, and one of the two other gentlemen tonight. I don't know about the other one though. Anyway, welcome to your home for everything current and classic wrestling. It is another unbelievably awesome episode of Place to Be Nation's Main Event. I am Scott Criscola. We had a lot of wrestling talk. There's a lot to talk about tonight. Not just the classic stuff. We will have a great archive later, but we got WWE stuff. A show was this weekend. We got some AEW chit chat, guys, people moving. Most of it's about TKO and how they suck a giant bag of dicks, but there's plenty of reasons for that. But anyway, let's bring in the crew. This guy is the boogie of the Bayou. I don't know if it ever hits single digits down where he is because he lives with tigers and alligators. But good evening, Andrew Reich. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing? I will make a proposal to you. I need to make sure I get equal talking time today, because if not, I will never argue with you again.
I'm sorry, are you still here? Anyway.
That's the stipulation. Do you accept it?
So ridiculous. Anyway, all right. Thank you, Boogie. And this guy, I know it was single digits where he was. I think it was below single digits where he was for a while. But he is the conscience of Place to Be Nation and unquestionably one of my favorite people on any ball of mud in the solar system. Good evening, Steve Aloysius Willie.
Yeah, thank you. And we were talking off air for a while, and we've been talking today, and I love you both. Like, guys have been super supportive, and I want just out there, like, it's just been, I'm looking forward to this all day long. So yeah, it's so much going on in the world of wrestling, and none of it makes any sense to me whatsoever.
No, it really, yeah, a lot of it is
nonsense going on.
I know, a lot of it's a lot of slop shop, but
every single promotion.
We are going to spend an hour talking about the future of Danhausen. Will he win the Intercontinental title? I have no idea. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's start with that first. So this past weekend, of course, the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. We are now officially on the road to WrestleMania, which has potholes, dirt roads, gravel, fucking tree stumps. This road is not really a road. It's more like like the Rainbow Bridge to Hell or something. I have no idea, but it's a mess. But I actually approved of a lot of the results that came out of it. So our two chamber winners, Rhea Ripley won for the women, which I love her anyway, so I don't really care. But I was stunned at the men's one, but I actually kind of dig it. Obviously, the winner of the men's chamber was the Viper himself, Randy Orton, who I can't remember the last time he won it. 2014? Is that the last time he won a chamber?
It's been
when he was champion,
since he's been
right before the Miracle on Bourbon Street, right?
Yeah.
2014. That has to be the last time he won a chamber. That's when he was champion. When he was, of course, with the quote authority before the Miracle on one of Steve's favorite days in the history of wrestling, the Miracle on Bourbon Street.
Mm-hmm.
We had what was the other match? Just not Punk and. Well, Punk kept his title.
Yeah, the AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch.
Oh, AJ is your new Women's Intercontinental Champion. She should be Becky. Thank fucking God. I had a feeling that was going to happen because of where they were. They still sometimes still book for the sake of getting the fans all juiced up. And then of course Punk kept the world title against Finn Balor. Of course, his entrance made Steve and I very moist. We heard Cirrus in the background, and then Ray Clay. Felt like now, Steve, did you compare the open of that match to the Rizzoli and Isles episode from 1997, right after the Wizards conference semifinals?
Yeah,
that just reminded me of amazing days. But anyway, he came out. He came out to his entrance, but he went from the locker room to the gorilla position.
Yes.
For those that don't know, they played the Sirius Open like they did for the '90s Bulls. And Ray Clay, who was the almost ring announcer,
the current Bulls announcer, the original
Bulls announcer that said, University of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He announced Punk, and his championships were made into banners that looked like the Bulls banners. Those were fucking badass.
And he had his Blackhawks imagery.
Yes,
he's a huge. I mean, he's not really a Bulls guy, to be honest, or really a Bears guy either. But he is a Cubs guy and a Blackhawks guy.
Yes, he is a big time Blackhawks. I knew he was he's a big time Blackhawks guy.
Blackhawks fan.
Yeah. So overall thoughts, Boogie. Let's talk about the Chambers for a sec. Rhea's Rhea. My guess is she'll probably face
Jade.
Yeah. And because the other women's match is set because Liv Morgan won. So, and Jade is having her share of issues apparently. But what are your thoughts on Rhea and Orton winning, Boogie?
I mean, Rhea was fine. I would say it was much more predictable than the men's one. That I've always said that if Triple H had the choice of like any superstar in WWE, like if they were all on a cliff and he could only rescue one, I think it'd be Rhea Ripley. That's his favorite. And when it comes to the women's scene going into WrestleMania, once Liv Morgan won that Royal Rumble match, it seemed to be telegraphed pretty decently on Raw that it was going to be Stephanie McCord that she was going to challenge, which was the case. So once that happened, the last puzzle fell of like, okay, the winner of the Chambers going to face Jade Cargill if Jade keeps that belt. And when Rhea won it, that's where they're headed. I think all of that discourse going on where they're taking shots at each other, I think some of it is a little bit of a shoot comments, but I think most of it is just a lot of conjecture to try to get people talking about a match at WrestleMania where there was really little to no hype. I don't even think they really faced off that much, in the last 6 months on television between Rhea and Jade. So they have to build something of a feud. It kind of reminds me of when Tiffany went off script on Charlotte, and that created some buzz, and they're just trying to copy that. But that was somewhat predictable, and I hope that match can be good. Randy Orton was interesting because Randy has been in a position where he's had title shots, he's won Royal Rumbles, he's won chamber matches, he's done these things where he was put in a prime position to have a title match at WrestleMania. A lot of times people would roll their eyes and go, oh God, Randy Orton again. This time it's kind of weird. It's a bit of a pleasant surprise. I know that Randy's in the twilight of his career, and his matches are still very good, but I think it's safe to say he's slowed down for sure, and he's kind of just enjoying the last stage of it, the last phase of it. But when he won it, it got a big pop. The match was not bad. It was a little clunky. What I personally didn't like, to be meticulous about the match, is that the two guys that kind of were the hottest going in, Javon Evans and Trick Williams, they were gone early. So it was sort of like, okay, where are we going with this? Also, Bronson Reed, I think, got hurt like the week before, and he was booked to be part of that match, and that kind of messed with the booking of it and all that stuff. But when Cody got pinned, it was a pleasant surprise. Randy's in the spot. I don't know if you want to talk about the match that's going on tonight on SmackDown that might really change the whole scene of it. But I mean, I think Randy Orton
get to it in a minute.
I think Randy Orton's absolutely getting a one-on-one match at WrestleMania between either Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. I thought Trick was going to win. That was my pick. My pick was Trick. Javon Evans isn't ready yet. Not in a bad way, but there's a line in front of him.
He's young. He's really young.
He's got time. Yeah. He's 23 or something?
Yeah.
He's got time. Yeah, we got to stop rushing guys like that. Javon Evans will be ready down the line.
Or as the announcer, the ring announcer called him when he entered, Javon Williams. Nate Milton called that. It's like, it's the lost Williams brother. Venus, Serena, Javon, and Trick.
Javon. It's Richard's other kid. I thought Trick was going to win because I thought Trick and Drew would have been a fun match. So what Cody? I almost called you Cody, Rich. God knows why. What Boogie's referring to?
I don't have blonde. I have a nice smile, but I don't have blonde hair. Okay,
you don't, and your suits, and you don't have as good. You don't have any pretty suits.
You don't have as good as suits.
I give myself. And I give myself incredibly unreasonable expectations for things that don't need it.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like Cody Rhodes and all of his angles. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. So for what Boogie's referring to is, if you're listening to this as it dropped, today's Friday. Tonight on SmackDown, because of what happened the other night, Cody is getting a one-on-one shot with Drew for the world title, for the undisputed title. I've heard rumors that it's just going to be a clean win for Cody, which would kind of be kind of shitty. Having said that, I do not want a triple threat. I don't want a triple threat because that just sounds like a clunky
You don't want
mess.
it to get Daniel Bryan?
No, I don't want a Daniel Bryan. I just want somebody to face. I want Orton to win in Vegas. I want him to win. I'm kicking old school. I want Orton to win. I think it's going to be a great old school psychology story, kind of like Cena. Like Orton was probably like the company right now, even though the upper echelons all have their heads up their asses for various reasons. I think the thinking is we made a lot of money off Cena. Orton's not Cena, but we are running out of old guys. Why don't we let's give Orton, because there are Orton fans. Of course there are Orton fans. There's plenty of Orton fans. Let's see. Let's roll with this and see what happens. So regardless of what happens tonight, whether Drew wins clean or Cody wins clean, I think it's going to be a one-on-one in Vegas, and I think Cody wins. I think Orton wins. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. I was a little bit surprised with the win too. I did like the way that he did it because I like face or heel when a win fits your character.
Uh-huh.
It fit his character that Drew came in, Cody took care of him, and Randy took advantage of it. RKO out of nowhere. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
I don't like. I don't know. None of us know what the original plans were for Mania from this side. It feels like it was always Punk versus Reigns.
Yes.
But something that happened here, because it's definitely. I feel like tonight Drew is going to hotshot the belt over to Cody, so it could be Cody versus Orton at Mania with Orton winning, which I think if that's the match, that's the right call. I think if it's Orton Drew, that's the right call. I feel awful for Drew McIntyre, who I think is, they'd always call Bryan Danielson like the B+ player. I think that like Drew is the A. He's the A player, but he can never get to that A+ in people's eyes, in the management's eyes. He does everything right.
He does.
His promos, his stuff outside, like his social media stuff, is so good.
It is good.
Look is everything about him is so good, but he's just not those guys, if that makes sense. Like he's just
I got you.
Yeah. So I'm sad about that, but I understand why they're doing it. I do think Randy will win. I think there's been the last few months, it's felt like not much. Maybe it's nostalgia, but like like a Lifetime Achievement Award for Randy. Like he hasn't really. I mean, he's come in and out with injuries and stuff. He's older, and he really hasn't been. I don't know the last time he held one of the big belts.
Him and Drew.
It's been a long time.
When him and Drew feuded during the vid, when they would have those Thunderdome matches in the ambulance and all that jazz.
Yeah,
I think that's the last time he had it.
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's at least 5 years.
Right. And so I think this is kind of, I'm not 100% the biggest Randy Orton fan, but I really, he's not the 25-year-old asshole he used to be.
Correct.
He's much more well respected, and he seems to be a good guy now. And
he grew up.
Yeah,
he grew up.
Yeah, exactly.
He totally grew up. And it's funny. It's funny, Steve, because I'm watching. I'm one of my chrono watches that I watch in my spare time. I'm in 04 WWF, which was right when I'm in May right now. So he hasn't won the title yet. He's still the IC champ, but that's the year, that everybody thought, oh my God. And then he spent an entire month acting like a complete dickhead. Yeah. To the point where they had to, when you cheer Triple H winning in 2004, you're in a shitty spot.
Right.
But
and I know that some people, well, I'll say this. I know some people might roll their eyes at this about Orton because he got so many multiple chances to, grab a brass ring in other years. But if you look at since he came back, and I think it was 2023, he gets positive fan response. They haven't really booked him as a heel. It would be interesting to see what direction they go with. If it's him and Cody, they can sort of play around with that or do face versus face, whatever they want to do.
Sure.
But the thing, if you look at his match history on the PLEs or the pay-per-views, pretty much every single one for Orton one-on-one has ended in a loss. He's lost to Cena. He lost to Cody, I believe, in the King of the Ring. I think it was. He lost to Gunther. He lost. The one he did win was the Joe Hendry match at WrestleMania because it was supposed to be KO, but he couldn't do it. So it's he's been a good soldier, and maybe this is the reward. I hate to say it that way because it's WrestleMania. It should be about rewarding people, but I think it's a good spot for him to be in. I think that they can have a very entertaining match. Cody and Randy have wrestled multiple times, and they've had very good matches. If it main events night one, I don't think people would be upset. We all know, and I'll give WWE credit for two things that they've done well. They have done a lot of things wrong over the last few months that we could probably talk a whole nother podcast about that we don't have to do right now. But the two things I feel like they've done right. Number one, they made absolutely abundantly clear the main event of WrestleMania, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. This is the match you want to see.
Right.
You know, and they built a story around it involving promos and captivating the audience with, what are they going to say to each other? Do they hate each other? All these kinds of things, which is ironic.
Said it to him, would he throw a hissy fit?
Yeah. And, talk about dead dads and dead dogs, and it's going to get nasty, but that's the whole point. The whole point is to get you sucked into the story, and Punk and Roman with just two promos really did the job, and now everybody is gunning to see that, and there's no debate of whether you and I and all three of us are not debating what's the main event of WrestleMania. We know what it is. It's Phil versus Joe.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing even.
And they've done
it's ending Sunday night. It's ending Sunday night. There's no doubt about it.
They've done a fantastic job of sealing the deal with that to get people to try to buy tickets regardless of how terribly overpriced they are. The other thing they've done well is that their NXT call-ups have been hits between Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans. The problem is it's such a loaded top end that where they don't really have room. They could find spots at WrestleMania.
Problem is the rest of the card the rest of the card's written on toilet paper right now. That's a problem.
Yeah, here's an example. One of the rumored matches is Trick versus Sami Zayn. That just came out of fucking toilet paper. Yeah. And another one is, Drew drops the belt, he'll wrestle Jacob Fatu. Well, why don't you just have a three-way with Fatu and Drew and Cody if you really wanted to get them involved that badly? But or do that on Friday. Yeah, and so politics gets in the way, and if Cody and Randy is a great night one main event, go for it. But the booking has been really, really shoddy. The only thing I really give them kudos for is that they've done a very good job of making sure that for a fact that CM Punk being on Raw and Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble and wanting to face him because he doesn't like him is a great storyline.
Yeah. Sure. And it's at least a year old. I mean, it goes back to that Survivor Series where they kind of kept glaring at each other.
Yeah. That kind of thing. Irony is that they actually wrestled each other at WrestleMania last year in a three-way, but no one remembers that because this angle is way more intriguing because it's about
right. And even if you you could spin this in I mean, Roman's ascent happened on the same day that Punk left Rumble 2014.
Yeah, that's true. Because
was when Rumble
he had the diesel
the
push.
Diesel row. Yeah, he had the diesel row, and Punk has Punk. Man, we've been talking about this, but I just have such a love-hate relationship with this guy over the last couple of years. Not Roman.
I know.
I like Roman. And
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So I want to give a quick shout out too that this happened the next night. Penta winning the Intercontinental Championship. I was legitimately shocked by that.
Me too.
And we have talked about like in the future doing grades for people who have jumped to AEW to WWE and vice versa.
Right.
And I thought Penta was doing pretty well, but this is like next level for him. And I love that man. That guy, him and Phoenix. I mean, I saw them on indie shows. I mean, they were already like famous from Mexico and Lucha Underground. Mom and dad with them, helping them sell their merch after shows. Meeting with every single fan, taking pictures for free. Making it to AEW, and now like this is so well deserved. Like it is you can say things.
He beat Dominic for the Intercontinental belt.
Yeah,
right?
He is a self-made man. He did not have. Tony Khan didn't.
He's Terry Taylor.
No, Tony Khan. Yeah, Tony Khan didn't make him. Triple H didn't make him.
Nope.
He made himself. Yeah, he's incredible. I could go half hour on all the cool stuff that I've seen him do outside of actually wrestling to make himself famous. So
right.
Good on him. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought his brother's getting just buried.
Buried. There's no other way of saying it. He's getting buried.
But he's one of a kind.
Yeah. So the next show is not a WWE show. It's an NXT show. The next one is Vengeance Day, which is coming up. It's actually tomorrow night. Night. If you're listening to this on Friday, it is tomorrow night on Peacock. So it'll still be.
Should we have a national holiday called Vengeance Day, like the Purge?
I fucking wish. I fucking wish we did. I'm looking at this card and I got my head totally in the sand. I totally.
It had so little buzz, Scott, that they were actually planning it to be in an outside venue, and they're like, nah. We'll just do it.
I totally forgot that Joe Hendry's actually the NXT champion. I totally forgot.
I did watch Miles Bourne win the North American belt off of Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page is injured.
Yeah, so Joe Hendry is the NXT champion. Shit, if I knew that. I totally didn't know that. Anyway, he's defending against Ricky Saints. I think that match would be fun. Izzy Dame is defending the women's North American title against Tatum Paxley. Why did I just sound like I was from Bridgewater? Paxley. Lola Vice is taking on Kalani Jordan in an NXT Underground match. Blake Monroe taking on Jada Parker in a street fight, and Tony D'Angelo against Dion Lennox in a parking lot brawl. A decent little card. Of course, the news, I don't know if we've talked about this, guys. So anyway, that's the card tomorrow night. Should be a fun card. And again, it's on Peacock because, you could still watch wrestling shows as part of your subscription rather than having to sell your fucking car to watch a show. We're going to get to that in a minute, too. Stand and Deliver is now not – have we talked about this? Stand and Deliver is not WrestleMania weekend anymore. Right. It's actually now 2 weeks before. It's actually, I'm using as a reference, but it's actually Easter weekend, Saturday the 4th. Let me confirm that. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Let's see.
Wait, is Jesus making his debut on NXT?
You know what? I would rather have Jesus win every belt. Thank you very much.
Well, Sean is booking it,
Well, that is true. Jesus, but
they
see,
put him in a mask and threw him on AAA.
Yeah, but see, here's a difference, though. Here's a difference. Unlike Shawn Michaels, Jesus hands out smiles. He doesn't lose them. Anyway, so yeah, it is April 4th at the Factory at the District in St. Louis. What the fuck is that?
Chesterfield, right?
But I don't know. It just says St. Louis. But anyway, it's actually Easter weekend. It is not WrestleMania weekend. I think TK. I joked. I said TKO is probably like, we don't do minor leagues on our big weekends. But I think it's because they want to start Mania earlier, so they're not going to have time to have it.
The SmackDown on the 3rd is in St. Louis, Missouri, which is Randy Orton's hometown.
Right. So,
okay, well, there you go.
But apparently they want Mania to start at like 2:30 so the first hour of both shows. See, this is ESPN trying to be snarky little pricks. Time to talk about this now. So both Saturday and Sunday night, the 18th and 19th, the first hour of each show is going to be on ESPN and ESPN2.
Okay, I can understand that.
Then you can spend the extra $30,
right?
If you want the rest of it.
It's like back in the Attitude Era, putting like Sunday night,
the free for alls,
actual matches.
Yeah, the free for alls.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about this because as we're talking about the road to WrestleMania, before we do that though, you know what? I didn't want to totally like no sell that show. Anything out of Vengeance Day that you guys like? Do you think Joe Hendry loses the belt? We have 2 title matches. What do you like here overall, Steve?
It's NXT is not it's just not on my radar. And
Right.
it's just I don't have it's not a rip on NXT. I promise to the listeners. I'm not like that kind of guy. It's just not on my radar due to time.
Right.
So I don't want to just talk out of my ass.
Yeah, I got you.
I talk out of my ass on some things, but
yeah, well, we all
if we talk about pretty much literally any other promotion, I know what I'm talking about.
right. Well, listen, I'm going to be honest. I had no idea that Joe Hendry was the NXT champion. I totally didn't realize it. So anyway, we'll get it in a couple of weeks. We'll see the fallout of this and look ahead. But Boogie, anything jumping out at you here?
Not on this one. I know they also have a show in New York in a few weeks called Roadblock. Maybe that'll be better. I don't like this card much. Maybe Izzy and Tatum in a blow off might be fine. I really like Kendall Gray, but she's not booked on this one.
That's a TV episode, though, right?
It is. But they did have a Roadblock episode similar to that. That was TV, but it was like a really, really good episode. So
it's like when Dynamite does Winter's
it's
Coming,
like Fighter Fest or stuff like that. Yeah, it would
gotcha.
be sort of in that vein, but I don't like this one very much. I think they're holding back for whatever they have planned. And also, the biggest angle is that Zarya's turn on Sol Ruca. I don't see that mentioned here, so clearly they're waiting for something better.
Yeah, I mean, there's no official stand and deliver matches yet or anything. So
right,
all right, so I want to talk about a story that I saw pop up in the last couple of days. Let me see. Apparently, so I guess Janelle Grant's attorney testified before the legislature here in our state about the NDA reform because of the whole thing with Vince.
Well, that should be a thing everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's true. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the story in WWE News, because apparently, and I think I mentioned this on a past episode, and if I didn't, we're doing it now. I think it's fairly common knowledge. The relationship right now between TKO and, I shouldn't say TKO, it says TKO, between ESPN and WWE is not great.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious because this whole thing with ESPN and the things, it's just obvious, and the shows and everything has truly been a fucking disaster. It's been an absolute disaster. ESPN says that WWE is not selling their brand right.
I haven't heard this.
And obviously the whole well, I'm trying to find you know what? I'm kind of done with my Chromebook. Anyway, let me spin. I hate life. This has been discussed apparently over the last couple of days. Here we go. All right. So There's many articles about this. I'm going to go to this one. Okay. So here we go. So I've read a couple of things. So let's see the date on this. March 4th. Okay, so this is relatively new. Okay, so I'm going to read you the article now. On August 6th, it was announced that WWE's premium live events would be moving to ESPN from Peacock in early 2026. The monster deal was worth a staggering $1.6 billion, which I think is fucking ridiculous. I think that's just dumb to begin with. Across 5 years, and will only impact fans in the U.S. Lucky us. However, that timeline was moved up, and of course, WrestlePalooza on September 20th was the first show. Eyebrows were raised when ESPN's own coverage rated that show poorly, as WWE continues to battle to reignite the popularity it had achieved following Vince's downfall. But the problems run deeper than that. A self-described sports business insider, Blake Avignon, yeah, this is the guy, reported, I like that, self-described sports business insider, reported that ESPN is not happy with how the partnership with WWE has been going so far, noting that WWE management has yet to correct the issues. So here's the quote. Sources inside ESPN, there's chatter that WWE's transition into the network's ecosystem has not been seamless. One person describes it as a DNA mismatch, adding that WWE leadership has yet to make a unified push to correct the shortcomings. That unease, according to another source, extends beyond distribution. Early WrestleMania 42 ticket movement hasn't inspired confidence, they said, viewing it as a sign the current strategy may not be landing as intended. ESPN and WWE also announced that the first hour of WrestleMania will air live on ESPN's linear channels for shifting to unlimited, a move designed to broaden exposure, but one that also underscores the evolving nature of the new distribution model. Separately, TKO's reported restriction on nearby venue watch party broadcasts was characterized by one source as a self-inflicted deterrent.
Oh, yeah.
The source argued the policy undercuts the very FOMO effect live events thrive on. If price-sensitive fans opted to watch Night 1 locally and the show delivered, the thinking goes organic buzz and fear of missing out could have driven incremental ticket sales for Night 2.
And ESPN buys.
Yes.
Can I speak on that real quick? Can you hold?
Oh, I got one more. Sentence.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Instead, limiting nearby broadcasts may suppress that spillover demand. The same person also pointed to the rising cost of WWE fandom and what they described as Mark Shapiro's growing disconnect from the everyday WWE consumer, which is absolutely right. TKO has pushed for venues in Las Vegas to be banned from showing WrestleMania on TV, no doubt in the hope that those planning to be in the city will buy tickets.
Yeah, it's not. It's not because the price. It's the price. This hasn't been stated anywhere, but like I grew up near Chicago, 80s, 90s, and so I know a fair amount about distribution around TV back then, just because I was really interested in it, like in sports. So the Chicago Blackhawks are owned by the Wirtz family. Bill Wirtz at the time was in charge, and he was a cheap bastard. He refused to let home games be televised at all in Chicago, anywhere, because the stadium was not selling out. Chicago Stadium. The idiocy behind that is that no one could then see your product to get excited to want to take your family to go buy tickets to go see the Blackhawks. There was no internet. Right. You might be able to see road games and like your evening news sports highlights, your 60 seconds at most. No one knew who any of the players were unless you listened on the radio. And once they sold and made that happen, that was when like the Blackhawks got good for like the mid 90s, when the Rangers had like Mike Richter and the Hawks had like Roenick and Balfour and Larmer. But like, that's idiocy. And you have like that with the Attitude Era, freaking Nitro parties that brought people together to watch wrestling, boxing events, UFC fights. That's why the bars make so much money. And more people get interested than they not even necessarily buy tickets to go see it because they're priced out because it's freaking. I checked last week on Wednesday before, I might have put this in our chat, Wednesday before Elimination Chamber, the face value, not resale. It was reported as resale. It was face value $266 a ticket in the 300 level of the United Center was the cheapest seats. And that was even for the best seats in the 300 level. Those were $300. So ticket sales at Mania are even worse.
Yeah, they are.
And so it's interesting. Like I'm really intrigued by this kind of sports media stuff that you're referring to. And I forgot one of the questions I had. So the tickets are one. What's the? Oh, not to mention that ESPN is going to get money for charging those bars to show the product because they don't charge $40.
And they've got licensing.
Yeah,
they paid for licensing.
Right. And
so they weren't bootlegging or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the amount of people that are going to go there for wrestling and other events. If I were to go to Las Vegas this year, I would not be attending Mania. I would be attending indie shows. I would be attending other stuff, pop up like in Post Wrestling was there doing a show or something like that. I'd go look for indie autograph, photo. I wouldn't go pay $300, $500, $1,000. That's just not for me.
It's funny too, and let me stretch this out a bit. You talk about indie shows and stuff. Now, you're a rare breed, Steve. You and Brett and Sheriff Pete Schirmacher, who will go into a city, or even like a Benzani, who will go into a city, just watch indie stuff, and not go to the big shows.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you guys are the minority. That normally doesn't happen. If you're going into a city, whether it's just to use the cities, an example, whether it's here at the Metal, here in local area, or Dallas when I went, or whether it was out in LA, or people are going to those. And look at what we do the Thursday before WrestleMania. I love that's one of my favorite shows of the year because it gets you excited for one thing. I love reading all those little dinky cards in bars and libraries and armories and everything. But unfortunately, TKO, first of all, TKO doesn't fucking care less what any of them do. No. But they're going to end up, you're going to see indies struggling because unfortunately the U's and the Bretts and the Petes, you guys are the minority. If people aren't in the mood to go to Mania, they're not going to Vegas at all.
And some of these bigger indies, like your GCW, like the Joey Janela's and stuff like that.
Right. The brunch, the brunch, or the party, the lunch party and all that stuff. Yeah.
They're starting to charge really high prices too. Because that was one of I say this all the time, that week in New Orleans, the AJ Nakamura WrestleMania, that's one of my favorite weekends I've ever had in my life outside of my family. Like, we went to 8-9 shows and we're in the first rows for almost all of them, popping like $60-$50 a piece, and just meeting all these guys who became mega superstars.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the weekend that I was in, the year that it was in Dallas, 2022, when I was there, to this day, obviously, still the greatest live show I've ever been to in my life, WrestleMania 38. And I feel like I don't have to go to a WrestleMania anymore because that was great. That was just it for me. Stone Cold twice, Taker twice, Triple H drops the boots, Cody. I mean, there's an awesome Bianca Becky match, which was amazing. I was at the multitude of, or what the fuck was it called? The
TNA show? Yeah.
The TNA NWA crossover.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was me, Sean Kidd, Schiff, Logan, the whole crew. And we were leaning against the railing. I don't think since like 1988 when I went to a house show at the New Coliseum ringside back then was like, I don't know, $27 for a fucking house show. Look, I got my Moondog spot right in my face. But my point is, now you're right. Indie shows have to keep up with that. So now all of a sudden, that would have been $250. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I think, unfortunately, it's going to be a ripple effect because not that there's a union for wrestling or whatever, but my point is these indie shows are now going to get the shit rolls downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And if people like D'Amato are going to disagree, and I love Johnny to death, but he's going to disagree with me on this. It rolls downhill. And if people aren't going to WrestleMania, they're not going to Vegas.
Right.
I mean,
Vegas is not Vegas of 20 years ago.
Vegas isn't Vegas 10 years ago.
Yeah, you can't go and buy. My best friend, Jamie, if you're listening, shout out to you. Huge Vegas file. He's gone, he was the first person to ever take me to Vegas when I was 21 years old. Knows all the deals. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist anymore. Right. There's definitely not. You know what happens, Scott? The mob doesn't run it anymore.
The what?
The mob doesn't run it anymore. The
mob. Yeah, exactly.
It was affordable when the mob ran it.
Exactly. Because they took care of the guys that overpriced it and put all the dirty hookers out. They only wanted the clean hookers. Yeah. Anyway, and the best looking and the cleanest strip clubs. Let me tell you. But so. And this is not a WWE bash fest because everyone likes to. I want to preface this by saying
it's a TKO bash fest.
It really is a TKO. I'm crying for WWE.
Yeah,
they don't deserve this. And again, I hate to say it, I kind of blame Vince because there were probably better buyers out there, not the Saudis. I remember when we all fell for that. There were better because I remember for what's that?
The Saudis are literally getting bombed as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody asked me the other day, what's going to happen with the next wrestling show? And the fuck do I know? They're just trying to survive.
The U.S. embassy just got destroyed in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the rich ones are they're. That might be more exciting than the 12 people that supposedly were at the Royal Rumble, but that's another joke altogether. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But there were strong rumors. TKO wasn't even thought of. I remember we were doing shows. It was Disney,
yep,
and Universal.
Right.
That made the most fucking sense.
Someone with already built-in TV distribution.
Yeah, exactly, and already owned stuff.
Right.
And I don't know what ESPN is thinking after because we bought we did used to buy pay-per-view back in the day. We didn't have to buy a $40 subscription to get another $30 show. We just got the $30 pay-per-view.
And you guys would know this more than me, especially you, Scott. I think ESPN thought their service was going to be in more homes at this point.
Yes.
They had their big fallout with YouTube. YouTube seems to, even though they made their deal, I have YouTube TV. There is zero indication that it's coming up anytime soon.
Right.
Where it's going to be included in the package.
Right.
I think they made a deal with Comcast. But yeah, it's too much work to see it. And if people want to see it, they can just get a VPN and go to see it off of Netflix or just find it through nefarious means.
Yeah. Nefarious means.
Shout out Nefarious Means Network.
Yes, the Nefarious Means Network. So it's bad enough that nobody gets the shows. Thus, why are you watching the TV?
Right.
So now you have Netflix probably. I don't know the buyership on Netflix right now, or the viewing on Netflix for Raw. I've watched a few. It's fine. SmackDown is fine. But if you're not paying for the pay-per-view, why would you give a shit about the TV?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not going to watch the payoff. And what it comes down to is that people have now, for 11 years, we didn't get them for free. Let's preface that. We didn't get them for free. We paid the WWE Network $10 a month. And we paid, whether it's 15 or 10 or whatever, for Peacock.
Right.
So they weren't free. They were included. And now, the ESPN Unlimited, which is fucking garbage, even if you have a subscription to because I use yes, I'm nefariously meaning here. I use my brother's DirecTV login.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to pay $30. Right. Who's doing that? Nobody.
for that and Akron State versus
VCU men's lacrosse. I said men's. I didn't want anybody to give me shit.
Well, women's lacrosse, I think it's more popular these days.
Yeah, pretty much. So that is ultimately why there's a disconnect here, because TKO, Endeavor as a whole, doesn't care. And it cracks me up because the other big nugget that Endeavor owns is on a network, a streaming platform where you don't have to pay extra.
Right.
I see it firsthand. I'm watching it every Saturday night, getting paid, doing it. You don't pay extra for UFC on Paramount Plus with less subscribers.
I'm not a big Apple TV guy, but between baseball, there's a couple really good shows on there right now, and now they're putting F1 in. You put the content on there, so you then pay the money for the subscription every month, right? Like Netflix, I rarely watch anything on Netflix. I think it's pretty expensive, but my wife watches it religiously because of the content that's on there. It's not I'm buying it for WWE. No, I'm not buying WWE, I'm buying ESPN. That's the goal.
Right.
Like you have to put compelling stuff on there, all around.
Right.
So, yeah, I can talk about this stuff all day. It is interesting to me.
It's interesting to me too, because
and
the other thing is, and this is another thing that Endeavor could give a shit about, the library they don't
care. It's not a moneymaker.
It's so they don't give a shit. No. They don't care about fans like me who love, or some of us who just love watching the classic stuff and would love to watch the current stuff if you didn't have to pay $70 or whatever the hell it is if you count the unlimited and the the show itself.
Right.
I mean, my God, ESPN. It said it in this article. ESPN slammed against WrestlePalooza, the first fucking show, and they gave it like a C.
Yeah. And ESPN's not going to have the bandwidth to put like a Memphis on. They don't care. Their people aren't going to care.
Yeah. Boogie, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts?
Just a few things. I mean, we touched on a lot of stuff there. The first thing about Vegas, and from what you're talking about, sounds like a local blackout rule. Now, I was a Saints fan. We dealt with blackouts all the time because sometimes if the team was bad down the stretch and you didn't sell enough tickets, what the NFL would do is say, well, that means that your city cannot watch the game because they did not put enough butts in seats. This is obviously not like a rule per se for WWE or TKO. They're just doing it to dissuade people from not going to the show and just watching it outside. So they're trying to get people to pony up and pay the extra ticket price that is the main, like, it's funny. It's almost like the hot dog costume meme. Like, we're all trying to find the guy who did this. Well, the guy who did this is the ticket sales or the ticket prices. That's what's causing the problem. And that's why their attendance for night 1 and 2 probably will top out at more than 40,000. When in Philadelphia, I think they were somewhere around 60,000 for both nights.
Yeah.
Like, they packed it in the Lincoln Financial Field. They're not going to do that for Allegiant Stadium. They're also doing Vegas for a second year in a row. And,
right. Oh, absolutely. Big point.
And to finish the point about Vegas, I'll just very quickly move on to another part you said, is that I know that they won't go. I know wrestling fans won't make it a destination for Vegas or WrestleMania if they know the ticket price are too high and they don't want to go to other things. That's true. But here's the thing too. A lot of people are impulsive. If they go there with the plans to go to a show and the show's too expensive, you're in Las Vegas. There's other things you can go to. There's other shows you can watch. There's other concerts and acts you can go see, like the Backstreet Boys or Bruno Mars or whatever the hell it is.
Just go play the slots.
Or the Sphere. Like, UFC is fought in the Sphere. So, like, there's other things you can do and spend buku money on, to steal a Cajun phrase, to go spend your good money. And
I'd just go sit at the what is it, Circa Resort,
yeah,
the sports resort,
or whatever. Yeah,
sit in the. You can imagine the three of us just sitting there in the pool watching that giant sports TV.
That's amazing.
Having some beer party.
And that leads to the second part. Good
chlorined up slop tarts. I love it.
And that leads to the second part. Good money. All these people, they're spending good hard-earned money to do these kinds of big event things. And ESPN let's be real. You always associate ESPN with Disney. Disney owns ESPN. Disney is the one who made the deal to get the PLEs from WWE. And they have more money than anyone, even Netflix, and they can spend the money. But the more money you spend, the more likely you are to regret it. And I feel like that they made this big venture, and then they immediately realized, wow, we are not getting the value out of this. The Royal Rumble,
$1.6 billion? They're not going to get that back.
When we had our last episode before the Royal Rumble, about a month ago, maybe over a month ago, and we talked about how this is really the stretch where if you're WWE and you're getting a lot of promotion from ESPN to show and get people to buy pay-per-views for the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber WrestleMania, this is the time. Like, this is the time where you get people to really want to sink into this. The Royal Rumble was bad. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it, and there's no reason to talk about it anymore. The Royal Rumble, to me, was bad. It was a bad show. Mm-hmm. The Elimination Chamber, in my opinion, was a mid-show. I know I get labeled as a hater on WWE, but I didn't think the 2 PLEs by WWE, the first 2 this year, were good. And it's becoming a trend since September, and that's why some people are starting to get scared that WrestleMania is just going to be a clunker. And that's why they're moving it over to ESPN to watch it on their networks. They want to get you to they want a hesitation buy so that you can keep watching it on their streaming service and pay extra money so that you don't get fear of missing out. I understand that, but I feel like they're cutting off their nose to spite their face, because if you're giving away this much product, then why the hell would they pay the extra money to watch it when you could just go on Netflix on Raw and you can see all the freaking highlights? So we're in a highlight driven business. And to finish the whole point of it all, I saw an interesting interview with one of the guys who runs the Netflix, and he was being interviewed by this sports media guy named John Orrand, and he basically said, "Okay, name drop." Oh wait, let me pick that up, Scott. That's all the names you just dropped. From Puck Media, and John Orrand's a really smart dude, and he gets a lot of great guests on his podcast about sports media, and he's just got some interesting guys. And one of them was one of the guys who runs Netflix, not Sarando, somebody else. And they've done really neat things. Like, they got WWE, they signed Ellie Duncan, they got the Women's World Cup next year. They got opening day in the Field of Dreams game for Major League Baseball. They got a guy who climbed a fucking skyscraper. And why are they doing this? Because they said, we want, quote, event television. We don't want something where you have to watch it every single week and it's just boring and mundane. They want something that, like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, they want something that everybody in the country wants to see. And it's like a blip. And that's what, and I think with WWE, that's what ESPN was hoping they were getting, and they're not getting it right now because they're just not generating the buzz from these big shows yet. I hope WrestleMania can remedy that and they can get on a hot streak, but I would bet against it. And I hope that the build gets better and the anticipation grows, because we all love WrestleMania when it's really fun and it's really epic and it feels like something important. And it does feel like it's been missing. And I think the fact that I do think that Mark Shapiro's attention is divided because he's been taking care of UFC going to Paramount. Because that's part of the TKO portfolio, and that's a big deal too. And that has absolutely nothing to do with WWE, because WWE has their own TV deal. They also are, sure, Scott, I don't want to get Scott behind the curtain here, but Paramount's been a little bit busy over the last few months, and they're going to get busier. And we'll see where that all goes with Warner Brothers. But at the end of the day, all of the media is discombobulated because this is how you want to diversify your portfolio and get paid by this provider and this network and this one and this sponsorship and that sponsorship, and try to split the atom as many times as you possibly can to make as much money as you possibly can. And I totally understand that. But once you want to create event television, it's really hard to do when you have one property, but you have to tell all your fans you have to buy all of these different services to watch the same thing.
Yeah, that sucks
That's
too.
hard.
Yeah, that is hard.
It's not the NFL. People say, "Well, the NFL does it." The NFL has been doing it for
the World Cup does it.
60
and
years.
Guess what? The world watches the World Cup. They love it. WWE is an acquired taste.
Right.
Even for wrestling fans, it's an acquired taste.
Right.
I mean, it's hurting NBA.
Very much so.
NBA is more popular than WWE. NFL is, hundreds of millions of people watch.
And I've talked to a friend about this, and this is the end of the point. I promise, Scott. I know we went long on this.
Yeah, we got to go to our classic section.
And the only part I will say about that is I was talking to a friend about this, and I said, man, I really think at the end of the day, the sports industry in America has a Disney/ESPN problem, because I've seen a lot of sports where the Winter Olympics, the NBA on Prime and NBC, where they go outside of the Disney bubble, the coverage is better.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's shot is better. The epic moments are better. Maybe it's just Disney. Maybe Disney just ruined it by trying to make everything clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
It also doesn't help, because Boogie knows I'm just going to have to throw an AEW jab here. Going to the same place 2 years in a row never helped. Never. And before anybody says, well, what about WrestleMania's 4 and 5? If you really want to compare 1989 to 2026 with me, let's do it right now.
And we're talking 14,000 people at those. Yeah. Like, that was a small venue.
Right. And AEW saw firsthand. The first All In at Wembley did great. Yeah. The second All In at Wembley did.
And you started seeing that with All Out in Chicago every year, where it was just
that's why they went to Toronto.
Little small decreases each time, even though it was the big event.
Because there's only so many things. The other thing, too, is, and I know this for a fact because I went there with wrestling people. Wrestling fans, for the most part, don't gamble.
Mm-hmm.
They don't gamble. You know what they spend their money on?
Wrestling.
Figures, autographs, shows, strip clubs. No. No. But they go to cities to watch wrestling.
Yeah, they're not there to gamble.
If they're going to gamble, they'll go the other 51 weekends of the year to go gamble. They're not going to Vegas to crank slots and play poker. They're going to eat, they're going to indie shows, and they're going to WrestleMania.
And they're going to be the facility for 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but to be fair, increasing prices does create loss of interest. Like if your ticket prices for a wrestling show that diehard fans love going to, if they're too high, guess what? They're going to find something else they love to do and just do that instead.
Yeah.
And that, I do think the ticket price is the problem number one, and it's something that TKO, because it's a revenue generated industry, they absolutely will not change. They will not turn back and go, all right, we'll make the tickets $50 for cheap seats again. No, that will not happen. There is absolutely no chance it's going to happen.
TKO Endeavor is not a brand, a company that promotes branding. All they care about is money. They just want to make money.
They're looking for the city money, the money up front.
Yeah.
Because that counteracts any ticket revenue that they lose.
So they don't have to give a fat fuck whether we like it or not. Because eventually...
And I feel bad for the wrestlers, because the wrestlers, I do think some of these star wrestlers are really trying. They really want you to care about their matches. They do.
And think about it now. Could cities bid in good faith? Because if you're New Orleans... I'd be like, go fuck yourself.
New Orleans got screwed very hard, and but
now if you're any city, if you're now any city from this point forward, do you trust TKO? Mm-hmm. Do you trust Endeavor?
Unless you have some sort of something built into the contract.
Yeah,
that if you
because if they go back to Vegas next year, they're fucked, and I don't think that's going to happen. But Minneapolis got SummerSlam as a consolation prize for not getting Mania. But a lot of people thought that was because the weather was still going to suck there and whatever. New Orleans gets stuck with Money in the Bank, which does nothing for them. You're not going to put Money in the Bank's not in the Superdome. So
it's in the Smoothie King Center.
Yeah, it's in Smoothie. So where will be WrestleMania? Well, next year, obviously.
It's in Saudi Arabia.
Well, next year there's going to be 2 WrestleManias. I think we're all pretty clear on that. Next year is going to be 2 WrestleManias. No one's going to give an absolute shit about that show in Saudi Arabia. But we're going way ahead of ourselves. In any event, I'm curious to see how the rest of the year goes, because if these ESPN, if the PLEs and their plus package start to really shit the bed, I don't know what they would. I don't know what they would do if they take them to court and ixnay the deal. I don't know if TKO decides that. I don't know if TKO eventually decides that God, this company is not worth the effort and sell it.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, I'm just glad that I'm a defender of All Elite Wrestling, a very successful progressive wrestling company that would never ever have a major pay-per-view in the month of March where they book the same location 2 years consecutively. Can I just give my very, very quick thoughts on Revolution coming up in a couple weeks, Scott?
Why did you say progressive? Do you just like picking fights with people on purpose? What forward thinking are they?
Hey! We know who the mayor in LA is, okay? We have to be careful.
No,
you know?
he was meaning progressive as in they're not doing they would never book the same place and do the same thing over and over and over again. When in actuality they are.
They totally are.
They're in the crypto. Now, to be fair to that whole point, and I made a joke about it just now. That's only the second time they've ever been to the crypto.
I would love to see Gavin Newsom in a Dainty Cankles match.
But you know where the booking went stupid for Tony Khan. I don't know if he did this on purpose. It's the same night as the Academy Awards, and it's the same night as
no one. Yeah, you know how many people give a fuck about that? About as much as some might people give people.
No, but it's a ratings getter. It's a ratings and social media getter.
No, it's not. No,
yes,
it's not.
It is.
But it's in the same place. It's gonna be a pain
they're leaving for they are leaving.
It's a social media getter because social media people watch that slop.
Yeah,
but it's not a ratings getter.
It's also the same day as Selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament.
Well, Boogie, that's an hour.
It is, but you lose.
It's an hour. It's an hour. It ends at 7 o'clock. It actually ends at like 6:40. Trust me. We produce it.
Revolution's booked a couple matches. I'm not going to go through every single one. Okay, it's not worth it. It looks like a good card. That's AEW's mantra. Our Dynamites are kind of hit or miss, but the pay-per-views are fucking awesome. Like that's their narrative. And
I have another topic about we're not going to do it tonight because I'm starting to get juicy to bash 2019. The only thing I'll say, I am really looking forward to the main event of Revolution. I think it's a great story. I think the match will be great, and it has consequences for Hangman Adam Page. My question that we're going to talk about one day, and I'm going to and I'm going to wholeheartedly, really vociferously fight this point, defend it, and I think Boogie, you and I are going to have some fun with it. I think AEW has become the North American equivalent of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
That's fair.
And you just proved my point. Dynamite, who fucking cares? So long as there's 9-star matches on the pay-per-views, does anybody give a shit about what's during the week? And that's the same thing with New Japan. They don't do weekly shows for the most part. All they do is pump up their big shows so we can all get 9 fucking stars. Speaking of guys that give out stars, we're going to talk about him too. Anyway, we'll talk more about Revolution, as Boogie mentioned, March 15th at the house that Kobe built. Right now, MJF and Hangman. Last chance Texas death match. And why is it a Texas death match when they're in LA? If Hangman loses, he can never challenge for the world title again, which means Hangman's going to win. Unless he's leaving.
I don't know. Let me stop you there. I don't know. He might lose that.
No, you're an idiot. No.
Let's replay this in 2 weeks.
No. And then what? And then he'll hang around, do nothing like Cody, and then leave? No.
The story is he hangs around and does nothing, and he has
does nothing.
That's the angle.
FTR defends the tag belts against the Young Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks are baby faces now.
Isn't that like the 90th time they've wrestled? No time limit match. AEW Continental title. It's a triple threat. It's Mox, Takeshita, and Takeshita's Mole. I hope the Mole wins. Andrade takes on Bandito. That match might be pretty good.
Great.
Brody King and Swerve. I actually dig that match. Thekla against Chris Statlander in a 2 out of 3 for the women's belt. Don Callis family, Okada, Kyle, and Mark Davis against Mystico and Jet Speed for the Trios belt. That might be pretty good. And then, oh, Jesus, they're giving this fat fuck a goddamn pay-per-view match? Oh, you got to be kidding me. Can it be somebody that cripples him or shoves a fucking sandwich in his ass? Oh, good Lord. God, and he even has a Wikipedia. I'm talking about Big Boom, the dipshits that do those Costco commercials and some chicken bakes up their ass. Oh, God, go away. Anyway. You know what AEW needs, Boogie? An upgrade in celebrity.
No, I think you hit a point.
Why don't they just get the Where's the Beef lady from Wendy's or Burger King? What was it? Wendy's.
I think you hit a point there that's accurate. Is that I feel like the Dynamite episodes or Collision episodes that the fans really talk about the most, or where it gets the most buzz, is the one that has the best matches. Like there was an episode where Kenny Omega and Swerve had a fantastic main event match where Swerve turned heel by basically giving him a vertebrae through the table, and it was great. It was great, but the key root of what makes All Elite Wrestling great is when they have great matches. And I do think you have a point there about that being the North American version of New Japan. But their talent level is so high. They just signed David Finlay out of nowhere. And to have the War Dogs there. And I'm not trying to make fun of David Finlay. It's just like they're so loaded. They literally have the Bullet Club War Dogs. I don't even know where they're going to fit in the whole scheme of things.
Well,
but
that's a problem with the whole company.
I think their main event scene is well thought out. I love MJF as the heel champion. I think it works. And Andrade being there has been rejuvenated. And I like what they're doing with Kenny, where they don't wrestle him all the time because of his injury history, but they bring him in for like quick spots where he can be in a really big, important match. So sure. I like the direction it's heading. And I think the booking on the weekly shows has been good, but I do think Revolution is going to be a fantastic show. It probably, I hate to say it, I know you might argue this, I think it's going to be better than WrestleMania.
I think you just say that because you like me calling you an idiot. No. Who knows? I mean, you're. Would you just pump the brakes on your opinions in general? You're walking clickbait. That's what you are. Boogie, Steve, I want you to sit on my theory, and I will, because I think we'll have fun with that.
I try to be as fair as possible.
I want you to sit on my theory. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm just saying I know that you'll marinate on that. Boogie,
I will. Shot it off the mouth. You only want him to sit on your theory, right? Nothing else, right?
Sit on my Austin theory.
Yes.
All right.
I'll be your masked man.
Oh my God! You talk about the most. Can I make a small point? The Vision might be the most.
Jesus. I gotta stop talking.
Okay, listen to me. The Vision might be the most cursed wrestling faction of all time.
Yeah, it probably is. But they bring it on themselves too. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Just
we'll get back to some of these wonderful topics in a couple weeks. But right now we're gonna go back. I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is crazy. I was saying this to Rotella today as I'm watching it. We're going back 6.5 years. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem that way. It seems more like 2 days. This week on the Main Event Archive, we go to October 23rd, 2019 for the fourth ever episode of AEW Dynamite. Live from the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which of course is the home of the Pitt Panthers, not the Pittsburgh Penguins. They play at the fuck is it called at this point? PPG Paints Arena or some shit? I don't know.
Is it called the SBC Center?
No, that's SBC's. No, isn't that where the
Charlotte
Hurricanes play?
Yeah, maybe so.
Is the SBC? No, I think it's the PPG Paints Arena or some stupid thing. In any event, it's not where the Penguins play. This is the building on the University of Pittsburgh's campus. And it's funny because they've been going to college campuses since the opener. Remember the first episode, they were in DC at the Capital One, but then the last 3 weeks they were at the Agganis Arena in Boston, which is BU. They were at the Lycura Center in Philly, which is Temple. I've been in that building. It's very nice. Not for wrestling. I went to a Temple game. And now here we're on the University of Pittsburgh's campus at the Peterson Event Center.
In between. So second Royal Rumble 2014 reference of the night. That weekend when I was there, I went to this arena to see Pitt versus Duke.
Was that before or after the PIC?
It was the day after.
Okay. He was sweaty and chucking. Anyway. Jabari Parker, that's right. All right. So, of course, guys, we're in the midst. We only have two champions at the moment. Chris Jericho is our world champion, and Riho is our women's champion. We are in the midst of the tag team tournament, and that's where we open the show. Right. One thing I'll say about these Dynamites, they knew they weren't good at backstage slop, so they didn't bother doing much of it.
They limited them, yes.
Yeah, they did. So we open with semifinal number 1 of the tournament. The final is next week. On October 30th. The Lucha Brothers take on Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. In 12 and a half minutes, the Lucha Brothers advance. Dave gave this 4.5 stars. I mean, I really liked the match. I thought it was great. And one thing I will say, Boogie, I've never denied that the tag division at the outset of AEW was absolutely fantastic. Mind you, at the time, it was still Vince, and Vince fucking hates tag team wrestling. I think that's pretty well documented if you've been a wrestling fan for 40 years like me and you guys. This was a great match. Both teams are great. We've talked about Lucha Brothers. I am a Private Party fan. It was a great opener. And again, see, like we were saying, they open the show, no fluff, no bullshit. I know we got to deal with Jericho, Cody. That's later on. But they come right out of the gate hot, Steve.
Yeah, I had said if there was ever a match that defined Flippy style, this was it.
Yeah,
this was full on
all over the place.
Yeah. It's interesting too that fun coincidence is that Private Party, I watched this a couple weeks ago. And Private Party came back a couple weeks ago. They had not been in AEW for over a year, and they hadn't even wrestled anywhere in 11 months before a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it was fun. The Lucha Brothers. I mean, I just extolling the virtues of Pentagon earlier in the show. There's just some fun stuff. They had a chicken fight that ended up with a drop kick into a reverse Rana. That was hilarious.
Yep.
A lot of double team moves. They did the spike pile driver for 3. 4.5 stars is kind of a lot. 8.0 on Cage Match though, and that relates to about 4 stars for the most part. But man, it was only 12 minutes and 30 seconds of just straight action. And this is what people wanted to see when AEW started. Kind of that PWG style tag team match. That's where this came from. Just go and stuff that the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers perfected.
Boogie, what'd you think of the opener?
I love the opener. They this might be the first time they didn't do the pyro to start the show, because they went right into it. They went right into it. They did do the introductions. But they didn't do the entrance. They didn't do they didn't do the big intro and all that stuff to introduce the show. Really, they did it while the match was going on. It's a great match. It reminded me of those WCW Cruiserweight openers in the 90s where it was just nonstop. There was 3-on-3 and just wild spots all over the place. The only difference being obviously in the Nitro days, they would just talk about the NWO and then on the commentary, whereas Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur are focused really on the wrestling and who's going to win the match, and they do a good job of it. I felt like it was 20 minutes worth of tag team action jammed into 12 and a half. Mm-hmm. And it felt like they were rushing a lot of things. Yes. There's a lot of sloppy stuff where people are missing kicks and things. So 4.5 seems a little kind, but I will agree on this. If you look at Meltzer's ratings on it, that this was probably the best match of the night. And if you're going to start strong, start with your best match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty great.
I'll make this point at the end, but this show as a whole was overbooked in terms of and they were figuring out TV, right? This is only their 4th
I'll talk about that in the main event for sure.
Right. Yeah, there was too much. Yes. And they just didn't know how to book right yet in a 2-hour block.
That is true. Now in the second semifinal, who will the Lucha Brothers wrestle next week for the inaugural tag team titles? SCU, my boys, Frankie and Scorp, taking on the Dark Order. SCU wins in 14 minutes. I I thought this match was a lot of fun. You guys know my early love for Scorpio Sky.
Yep.
I thought it was a good match, Boogie. I thought the Dark Order was fine. I know everybody kind of loved him in the well, maybe kind of. But I thought it was a fine match. Again, the tag division's strong. No bullshit on the show. I was starting to, in my opinion, gather that the three-man booths are fine when you've got one play-by-play guy and two color guys.
Yes.
Not two play-by-play guys and one color guy who feels intimidated because he's afraid of talking over either of the other two guys.
Mhm.
That's my take.
Well, let me tell you about that. It's funny because I don't think it's during this match. I think it's during a match, another tag match later, where I think there was a situation where Excalibur like interrupted Tony, and he's like, "I'm so sorry," and Tony's like, "No, we're a team." He's like telling him, like, "No, you can talk if you want to make a point, make a point." So like, there's this weird scenario, like JR talks, then Tony goes on top of what JR says, and then Excalibur has to go on top of what they both said. It's like it was almost like they were scared of stepping over each other, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But that's just one point. The match I thought was good. It was not as good as the Lucha Private Party match, to be fair. I think Stu Grayson is an underrated wrestler. I always took him for granted when he was in the AEW. I never saw his stuff before that in Chikara or PWG. And I know he's had some moments in Impact or TNA and places like that. But I took for granted how good he was. Like there's a part late in the match where he starts hitting the high spots and it gets a little exciting. And the crowd loved this, and the crowd was pretty hot here. SCU is fine. They did some GTS combo and it was okay. It did kind of peter out at the end. I didn't like it as much as the first match. I know you've always been a fan of Scott of SCU, and we see them again in this tournament, so they're still alive in it. But I didn't feel like it was an impressive match. It just didn't amaze me. I just thought, oh, that was good, and that was it.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I didn't think it was good. I like those guys, but the first match was a little bit better, Steve. But I thought it was still good though.
And maybe reversing the order on the show could have been better. I thought, Dark Order did a really good job of like cutting off the ring and cheat. Grayson's great. I didn't realize this. Excalibur alluded to how long they had been gone. But they hadn't, when they started in AEW, they hadn't been wrestling for 6 years. They were like popular on the indies and in Canada, and they kind of just pretty much stopped. And I think maybe just did some local stuff in Canada.
Stu is from Winnipeg. Evil Uno, I believe, still works there, in backstage.
Yeah, Evil Uno definitely works there.
He's
Stu is in Canada, and Evil Uno also has this funny promotion called Mystery Wrestling that he runs out of Canada as well. And this is when Inner Circle came out with tickets and hopped into Suite. And you guys went over everything else. The thing that annoyed me about Jim Ross being so corny once in a while, he's like, Stu, don't call me Dick Grayson. Like, Dick Grayson, Robin.
Jesus.
It's like
that's awful. That is
so
awful.
corny.
Yeah, it was corny.
And then every single week he does, we'll see the best friends. Chuck Taylor, not the shoes. Chuck Taylor All Stars. Oh, yeah.
Right. Speaking of Chuck Taylor, we'll get to him in a little bit. Everyone knows, as much as I love Scorpio Sky, I am not a fan of him, but we'll get to that match in a minute. All right. So this next match, the Cody Jericho thing didn't happen yet, right? That's later.
So Jericho shows up with the Inner Circle during the SCU Dark Order match.
Right. That's right. And
he
then
has his belt.
Cody arrived.
He has his ticket, and they go up to the suite and they make loud noises.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like Evolution in 03. So this match that we're about to talk about is where my theory that I was talking about earlier in the show about what created the huge divide between the very vitriolic. I think I invented a word there, but I don't care. Divide between the pro AEW fans and the not pro WWE fans, just anti AEW fans. This match to me is an example of it. So This is a rematch from, I think, a AEW Dark match. I don't know, the week before or something. Yeah.
The first episode of Dark was
the
Kenny Omega and Joey Janela.
So it's Kenny Omega and Joey Janela in a rematch. They wrestle in 13-10. Kenny obviously wins. And the match is fine. Well, that was pretty good. Dave gave it 4 stars.
Yeah.
I think he's on fucking crack. And this is where I think the issue came from. Because Dave, this is where, and listen, I get it. Dave had a hard on for WWE because they kicked him out of the fucking back, and he couldn't use Willie the Van Dam anymore to get his juice from. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to.
Kenny stand. He's a Kenny stand.
He's a Kenny stand, yeah. And he just every single fucking match was the greatest match in the history of the business. And this match is not 4 stars. It's not. Maybe 3?
3 and a quarter.
I'll even go 3 1/4.
Yeah.
4? No.
It was good. I mean,
it was very good. It was good. Yeah. And listen,
good.
I'm not discounting the fact. I mean, Janela is solid. I mean, he's kind of a fuck up.
I'm not gonna remember it.
Yeah, but 4 stars. That is, I think, where the divide started, because Dave was being such a dick about it on social media, like pretty much telling you it's 4 stars and you're fucking stupid if you think otherwise. I feel like he got very grisly and very defensive about when AEW started. And I think that's where a lot of WWE fans, look at me, I just did that. Anti-AEW, I don't know. Yeah. A lot of fans were like, yeah, Dave, this is a nice promotion, but
I think I agree with you. I think it would have been much better if he just shut up more on Twitter. He would let trolls get the best of him.
Yeah, he had a very short temper. It was so easy to needle him. I agree.
Yeah, and like match ratings are like movie ratings, right?
Right, of course.
Like people legitimately fight over like 3 3/4 to 4 stars. Like who the fuck cares? Like if Dave Meltzer called this a 4-star match and someone came in and said no, it's a 1.5 stars. Well, that's idiocy. But I mean, just getting back to the AEW of it all, they screwed this one up, because this was good. This should have been the match on Dark, and the massive 25-minute hardcore
garbage brawl,
right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that should have been on this. That they reversed it. It's like when promotions do like a big. It'd be like doing a Hell in the Cell, and then the next month coming back with a regular one-on-one match.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Now, Boogie, I understand. Again, I get that Dave, this was his baby, like New Japan, and he hated WWE because they all, they fucked with him and everything. He could deny it all he wants. He knows he's wrong. He knows that's what happened. But this match is an example of why a lot of people, almost just to make Dave look dumb, started to hate AEW, because he pretty much would go out there, grade these matches way more than they probably, some of them, I didn't say all of them, some of them way more than they had any business being. And then when somebody would say, well, I don't know, Dave, I would say that's more of a 3. Oh, why don't you go back to watch your Becky Lynch the Man matches or whatever, something snarky or whatever, like we're all fucking idiots. And I feel like that was where the divide began between I'm not saying AEW fans and WWE fans, although, I mean, it probably is, but I'm trying not to paint that picture.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the tribal people who it wouldn't have mattered either way.
Exactly. No, there definitely is.
Yeah.
But so if there's anything, Boogie, that I say created the divide right out of the gate, it was Dave.
I think there's something there because of the fact that he's the most, I mean, I guess you could say esteemed, respected, or read, wrestling journalist, and he gets the scoops, but he also puts these star ratings out there that people hang their hats on. The fact that,
that's the problem.
he would give the high star ratings to these matches. I will say this: I'm being honest. If you look at the star rating average for AEW's matches, like the high end stuff, from year to year, 2019 is actually, based off of Meltzer's ratings, the worst. Like that's the lowest amount of big 4 or 5 star matches he gave to the company. Now the company wasn't around for as long. It started and had matches in May and kicked off their weekly show in October. But if you look at like 2021 and onward, there's way more like 5-star. It's to a point now where I just laugh. Like they'll say that this match was 5 stars, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. And now I will say this, and I don't want to be too much like about recency bias when we do our retro shows, because I like to keep AEW in its little bubble where it was at, because it was different from what it is now. But they had a 10-man crazy match in Denver, Colorado, 5-on-5. Fantastic. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I can see why it would get 5 stars. But then there are things that get like 4 3/4 where I'm like, what are you smoking? And it's like, it's a subjective thing. He likes certain people. He loves Kenny Omega. That's where he broke the 5-star. He went past 5 and went to 6 when Kenny wrestled Okada. That's where it started. So the fact that he leans on Kenny when he has a good match that goes more than 13 minutes on television, it doesn't shock me he gets a high rating. But the fact that he kind of stands on his perch about it and tells people you need to like this, that's where I think a lot of people get hot and bothered, and I can understand the dissonance.
And just don't get hot and bothered. Use them as just a guide.
Yeah,
like if I look at the cage match ratings, and so like the first match, if I haven't seen this at all and I want to in 2026, I want to go back and watch some AEW, but I don't have time to watch all the shows. I do this with New Japan all the time.
Right.
I'm looking at this card and see 8.0, 4.5 stars. I'm going to watch that match. Yeah. I see later on, women's match 4.81 on 68 votes, and Meltzer didn't even bother reviewing it. That means I stay away from that match. I like, so for example, like there was a New Japan show recently, and like it was like a 2.25 he rated a match, and he usually is going to rate a Japan match higher. So I'm like, there's no way I'm watching that match. So that's, I use it, and then there'll be times he'll say 4 stars, or cage match will say a certain thing, and I disagree. But it's just like, it's a guide. It's not the gospel.
It's like in weather, meteorology. There's a cone of certainty.
Yeah.
So if there's a certain snowflake level, or like cage match rating wise, where they say
snowflake level,
where it gives out all the snowflakes, the stars, where like they say, oh, Gunther versus Dragon Lee got an 8. Well, clearly that match was good, because if there's 80 people saying they really loved it, it probably was a good match. Not everybody's right, but not everybody's wrong either. So you just have to give it a shot.
Exactly. And
again, unless it's TNA Impact, you can skip that shit.
How dare you? No. We'll get
let's
not 2003, because
we are not recapping any. No. I just heard Vance Warner and Steph DeLander just randomly quit. They faked. They said they were injured and they faked it until they were told to go see a doctor. They're like, nope.
There's more to it, but we can talk about that next time.
Yeah, it
was a funny story, though. Yeah, it was a funny story.
All right, so next we have another tag.
We have the Cody segment.
Now's the Cody. So Cody comes out and is in the ring, and he's being interviewed by Tony. Meanwhile, Jericho and the Inner Circle, pretending to be Evolution, are heckling him and throwing stuff and all sorts of shit. Cody's going to try to crawl. He's going to walk through the crowd, but there's the tension there. He's not going to try. But then Dustin comes down. They go up there. Cody wraps. I thought that was actually.
I love this part.
Wraps his hand in a towel. MJF.
No, it was MJF's scarf.
Oh, it was MJF's scarf.
Yeah, that
wraps in a scarf and punches the window in the door, and then they brawl out through the Peterson Event Center. DDP and all these other guys and Sammy Guevara and all them.
This was the most memorable segment of the entire show.
Not the Dippin' Dots.
Not the damn Dippin' Dots when they go to the Dippin' Dots stand. And then Jericho is like sitting there with trash on his face going, I have a ticket. I have a ticket.
Yeah,
really
the Dippin' Dots, Dippin' Dots, the future of ice cream since 1989.
Jericho telling MJF, who he feuded with later, he says, who's scared of a man with a scarf?
Meanwhile, he wears scarves.
It took me a second to get that one with all the years he wore scarves.
Yeah, exactly. Good segment, again, building to our main event at Full Gear, which is it one more Dynamite till the pay-per-view, or is the one after that is the one going into it? Okay, so we have two more.
2 more episodes, yes.
2 more episodes, okay. And of course, we will be doing Full Gear as well.
Now we have the.
How has the build been, Steve? Do you think?
I like the build between Cody and Jericho. I enjoy the fact that Jericho has Proud and Powerful and Guevara as his backup because it's raising new young stars.
Right.
I don't, outside of Dustin, do not care for Cody's menagerie. I don't like DDP, in his 60s here. MJF, that's I think it was a little too cutesy. I mean, I thought the thing where he wrapped his hand in a scarf was great, but we all knew MJF was going to be a scumbag. That was not a surprise to anybody whatsoever, even if you were a new viewer. And Cody looked like an idiot. So, but the build to the one-on-one is what you need. You needed to start AEW and get people to watch. You needed names that people knew.
Right. Oh, absolutely. No, I agreed with that. And we talked about that because I as much as I was bummed because I wanted Hangman Page to be the first champion, it made sense to have him. It made sense to have Jericho.
You use your established guys to make new people.
Yes. So that, of course, is continuing the build to the main event at Full Gear. Next, we have another tag match. Another match that probably might have overextended itself, maybe. The Bucks, who were not in the tournament, they were knocked out, taking on Best Friends, Chuck Taylor, also knocked out, Trent Beretta, who I love, and Chuck Taylor, not so much, with a guy that I'd never heard of who, Steve, I hate to say it, him, I have to thank you for growing on me. And that is Orange Cassidy, because I fucking hated him for the first 3 years of this promotion. And not that I love him, but you've gotten me to tolerate him. And that's a win.
He's about.
So take the win. So, Bucks win it in 11:30. 4 stars again. I mean, this is getting out of hand. I mean, this is getting fucking 4 4-star matches in one fucking TV episode. Come on, Dave. Seriously. I mean, what the fuck?
This match had a really slow middle. Really slow.
It was definitely in through a commercial, and I believe the HBO Max keeps the picture-in-picture in, and you could tell because there's a break in the commentary.
Right.
So I even said the match slowed down significantly into the break. It started off hot with a lot of double team moves by the Bucks, and then the Best Friends got some weak looking offense on the outside for a while.
Orange does the. I think this was the first time he did it on the show. The dive with the pockets in his hand, which became like a custom move for him.
Which is still to this day very impressive to be able to do that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a small area. But Best Friends kind of came back after dual dives. They did their soul food half and half combo, their hug, and with the OC dive to the floor. And then they hit their strong zero finishing move, but they broke it up. And my favorite part was when Chuck Taylor said, "We're going to murder them." And they reversed a doomsday to super kicks and more bang for their buck,
right?
Which won the match. It's kind of a paint by numbers Young Bucks match. The thing is that the Young Bucks matches are so smooth with all their high flying, especially back then. like everything looks crisp that they do. So it is. It's like an automatic 3-star match.
Right.
But it wasn't anything special or fantastic to take it to the next level.
Yeah. The most important thing was that after the match, the Young Bucks said they'd wrestle Santana Ortiz at Full Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was the most important part.
Yeah. And yeah, I thought the match is fine. Again, I love Trent. I like Trent when he was in WWE.
Yeah.
But I just can't stand. I'm just not a Chuck Taylor fan. And there was one move he did on the outside. He was like a splash on the railing, but he like kind of like soft it. I don't know. It looked awful. There was a move on the outside that he did that looked absolutely terrible. But but 4 stars, Dave. I mean, seriously, give me a fucking break. And the cage match grade is 7.14, which I also think might be mildly high.
A little high, like I would say.
That's a bit on the mark. Yeah,
I would,
not great.
I would say that's probably mid to high 6s.
I bet you that went down because if you look at the ratings over the years for the show in general, it starts out in the mid 8s, and then
it goes down.
It starts to go down,
right?
Because it was novel at the time.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why they had such high ratings, is because it was different.
Right, exactly. No, I understand that. But 4 stars, I don't think so. Next up, my girl, who I think should have been the first AEW Women's Champion, against a newcomer making their first match, I think, on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, what she would become in 6.5 years. My DMD, Britt Baker, taking on rookie. I mean, I don't want to say rookie, but her first match in AEW because her record was 0-0. Jamie Hayter, who of course would eventually be a future women's champion and would look amazing in her throwback years. She definitely is trimmed down because she was definitely a little.
Yeah.
She was definitely
like
a little
Jordan Grace in a way, where Jordan Grace has always been thick,
right,
and strong.
Yeah, but that's a good comparison. Jordan Grace. She was like
she's cut as all hell.
Yeah, exactly.
She was bulkier back then. She's also like wearing they're both wearing like the fishnet, like tights on their legs. But the thing is, Jamie Hayter's got a giant tattoo on her leg of like, I think it's like a tiger or a cheetah. So, but with the fishnets on, it just looks like a giant bruise. So you just look at it like,
kind of matching up with B. Priestley. I don't know the whole stuff.
And I think it's obvious that Hayter's got like missing teeth on the left side of her face. So, and she does a lot. She does not really show it much when she cuts promos now, but like when you see it on this show, you're just like, damn, like she's like missing half of her teeth on the top of her head. But it's and also the hair is always different with Jamie, but she sold really well. That was where I thought Jamie became a star, is because she sold great for her opponents. And I thought she did a good job here with Britt. There's some weird moments where they just start potatoing each other in the back as rest holds. and Britt's from Pittsburgh, so she gets like the hometown pop and stuff. She wins with the lockjaw. Match was fine. I mean, I wouldn't 8.5 minutes. It wasn't anything to write home about. I was just shocked to see Jamie Hayter at a very, very young age.
Yeah. I do like Britsburg. I think that's awesome. Was there a did she get a t-shirt that said that? Because I would have totally bought it. Damn it, I would have totally bought it.
I'm sure you can find it still.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fun. So that was the one women's match of the night. And then our main event, which was pimped, I think, last week.
Oh, wait a minute. You forgot about the Wrestle Cringe segment right after this.
I didn't even this blink and you miss it.
Oh,
Jen Decker interviews Jamie Hayter, who just lost, and she's mad. She gets jumped from behind by Brandy Rhodes, and Brandy does like some weird witchery hand, like Agatha Harkness on Jamie Hayter, and Jamie just stares at her, and Brandy walks away.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
threatened like Jen
what
Decker
the hell
or something.
is that?
It was so there was literally no reason for it. It made
there
sense.
is a storyline that comes up later that is the reason behind all this, but it is all time bad crap. I just had to mention that.
It's so weird. Cody is the baby face, and everybody around him is acting like a heel. It's very strange. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. But anyway, in our main event, a match that was promoted last week, I believe. John Dean and Broxley taking on the Bastard Pac in just a regular singles match. It's funny though. I will say this: 6.5 years, Mox definitely has changed his style. This Mox is not the Death Riders doesn't lose a match ever guy. Having said that, the match was fine. I mean, I've never heard of a time limit draw go 12 minutes and 10 seconds, but
that's where I went.
It was TV time remaining.
Yeah.
You know, when Vince Russo was booking Raw, if it was TV time remaining, the matches would have been 5 seconds long.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, the match was fine. I don't know what the build is towards, because I mean, we are building to Mox and Kenny at Full Gear, I believe, and I mean, this was fine.
Last episode, Moxley walked out on Pac when they were tagging together.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I gotta be honest. I don't know if I would have put this last. I almost maybe would have put the Brawl last.
Mm-hmm.
But then you would have just had match. That's true. But I almost feel like, I guess I'm I'm old school in the sense that I feel like you really need to promote your world title match. So since none of these matches had anything to do with Jericho and Cody, I almost feel like that would have been nice to end the show and then really have a nice brawl to end the show. But I mean, again, having said that, it's fine. But I don't know. I feel like this match was fine, but I don't know if I would have put it last, Boogie.
Yeah, the match was good for as long as it lasted. We all know now, like the Pac and main event matches, he wound up delivering some really great ones with Kenny and even Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Like he gets a lot more time to be able to deliver great matches, but this was one where it's like, this is really. So I understand that you don't want to weaken Pac yet, but you don't like. I think it would have been fine if John just went over on him here and you had something quicker and more decisive. I think the story here was that Moxley kept trying to avoid the Black Arrow finisher because if Pac hits it, he's not kicking out of it. There was also a weirdly timed moment where they did the thing where the time limit draw is coming closer and the announcer, Justin Roberts, says it, but he hits the paradigm shift, but the timing was off. So Pac had to kick out of it before the time limit draw, and I don't think that was the purpose. I think he was actually supposed to pin him, and the time limit draw hits before the 3 count. So that was a mess up too.
Yeah.
Right.
Overall,
like,
overall decent match, but nothing more.
Yeah. What were you saying, Steve?
Time limit my ass, he kept saying. Yeah, I mean, Pac beat him up pretty well. It was all Pac going even through the break.
Well, he jumped him. He jumped him in the back of the head.
Yeah, jumped him from behind. And like it wasn't even all the paradigm shift, and they were just playing it off that he was too far away and too tired to cover. But yeah, the 5-minute call came out of nowhere, and then when you realize later it was only a 12-minute match, and that's what it goes. What I was saying, that I just didn't think they did a good job of timing everything out for the whole show. And nowadays they have that play like Nitro did.
They also have overruns now. Yeah,
they can do an overrun. It's not a big deal. But here they had a hard out.
Right. Yep.
They do have Brits Baker, 2 different Britsburg shirts available on eBay through AEW.
Oh, nice.
There's a cool Pittsburgh Penguins looking one.
That's cool. I just love Brit. I always did.
Yeah.
All right. So there's your show. From the 23rd. Overall, again, you look at the grades and you're like, my God, this is one of the greatest television programs ever. And you're like, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, this was good. I'm enjoying the building in the tag tournament. The tag matches are amazing, and I've not denied that. The Cody Jericho build has been solid. They're definitely, I feel like they're leaning into Britt as like the number one contender. At this moment, Steve, what are your thoughts as we're heading on the road towards Full Gear?
Ooh, good question. I think that there's 3 tiers going on right now. They are really high on the tag team division.
Yes,
which,
they are.
Comes from Ring of Honor. Then you have your core group of top guys, singles of your and that's Moxley, Pac, Omega, Cody, and Jericho. And then you have which was a problem for AEW for a long time and a problem for WWE in years before this. You have your one women's match, and it just kind of, it's good, but it's not like old WWE divas, Michelle McCool type matches.
Yeah, right.
They wrestle, but it's definitely a less importance and not as high a quality of matches. So there's these three separate. There's not really an undercard at this point.
Right. Boogie, thoughts on the show? And I want to answer your question. What are your thoughts as we're building towards Full Gear?
The show was fine. It basically ran the same course as the shows we've seen before that in the short inception of the show, which is one great tag match, a good one-on-one match, and then interspersed with pretty bad backstage segments and maybe and promos. The one thing that stood out here is I thought the promo segment involving Cody and getting fed up with Jericho in the inner circle in the suite and jumping out there and punching through the glass. That was great stuff. That was good shit. So that was the one exception. They actually had one of their better promo segments, but the wrestling suffered and it was not timed out well, like Steve had said. And because that's what happens when you have 26 minutes of wrestling to start the show. It's great, but what are you doing with the rest of it? And they just kind of got caught with their pants down from a producer standpoint. So overall, I would give it like a C. It wasn't great, but it had rocky production, but it wasn't a bad show at all. Full Gear build. It's weird because the tag title tournament is taking over the Dynamite shows, but the tag title final isn't on Full Gear; it's on Dynamite. So Full Gear, really, the focus is Moxley and Kenny Omega, which is barely talked about on the show. Yes. I don't even know if they mentioned that they were wrestling each other at Full Gear. And then Cody and Jericho. And the big stipulation, actually, I think Cody was getting ready to announce it, but he got cut off by the Vuvuzelas and didn't actually say it. But I think in the next segment, which is a memorable segment by Cody on the next episode that we do of Dynamite, that's when he announces the thing about the not being able to wrestle for the title again situation.
Right.
So overall, I thought solid. Full Gear, though, the buzz is not palpable. Can I tell you what was on NXT that night?
Sure.
This is a shocker. The first match out the gate on NXT on October 23rd, 2019, Rhea Ripley defeats Bianca Belair in 13 minutes.
Wow.
That's the first match. Matt Riddle defeats Cameron Grimes in 5 minutes. Breezango and Isaiah Swerve Scott defeat the Forgotten Sons.
Swerve Scott.
Isaiah Swerve Scott. Whatever happened to him, man? Big pressure.
I don't know. He was great.
Angel Garza defeated Jack Gallagher. Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox defeat Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. And in the main event, in 15 minutes, Roderick Strong defeated Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic.
That's not a bad show, actually.
No.
It's actually a pretty good show.
Solid. And Dynamite did win in the ratings, 963K versus 698K.
Because you could watch NXT the next day on Peacock.
True.
Or was it Peacock by then? No, I don't even remember.
I think you could watch it on the network the next day or something to that degree.
Yeah. So our next episode, the next Dynamite will be the following week on October 30th from Charleston, West Virginia. That'll, of course, be 2 episodes from now because our next episode in a couple weeks, we will be going back to Steve's favorite time of the year.
Yes.
April of what is it? 30th, I think it is.
Yeah, one of the biggest, to this point, probably the biggest match in TNA history, ?
Yeah, April 30th, April 30th, 2003 episode of TNA, where the multi-week build finally culminates as Jeff Jarrett defends the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Raven, and all that build in the same fucking same package for the last 3 weeks. And maybe Eric Watts will interfere because they're the future of wrestling.
Yep.
God help us. All right. Guys, this has been a fun show, as it always is. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We will talk Vengeance Day. We'll update on any WrestleMania additions to the show, if they've got anything going on. Road Dogg quit today. We'll see if there's any more internal stuff going on in there, and if there's any.
There's some small stuff. Ring of Honor is going under some changes so that we can talk about next time real quickly. It'll be fun. Yep,
and then New Japan show coming up, right, Steve?
Yeah, they just started the New Japan Cup.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yesterday.
Oh, okay. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Check out all the great shows here on the PTB Wrestling Network, including all the great shows by my man Luke Jennings, the Memphis Continental Wrestling Cast coming up this weekend. Next week, the Monday Night Project, and of course, on top of Old Smokey. We'll have a new episode later this month of Through the Looking Glass. And if you're listening to this on Friday, this coming Monday, I will be putting up the next WrestleTracks ballot for March. The shows are pretty awesome. The March 24th, 1980 MSG House Show, the March 17th, 1985 MSG House Show, 2 weeks before WrestleMania 1, and Clash of the Champions 1. Those are your choices. So think about it. Think about it, and we will have the ballot up next week. For Brother Steve, Brother Boogie, I'm Brother Scott. You've been in the main event. Enjoy Vengeance Day this weekend, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Hey, Scott, what do Triple H and figure skater Ilya Malinin have in common?
I shudder to think. What do they have in common?
They're both known for blowing their quads.
Oh, that's actually really good.
I hate to say it.
I'm ready for Vengeance Day, my boys. Have a good night.